Let's talk about criticism. We have two kinds of criticism. We have constructive, and we have the one we all hate, the destructive criticism. Many people offer advice under the guise of quote unquote, I'm being constructive, but we know as soon as we hear it, as soon as we read it, they're really being destructive and most likely just plain mean. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
If you work for a company or you have employees, at some point, you're either going to receive feedback or you're going to be giving feedback. You need to understand how to give constructive feedback. And it can't just be veiled as constructive when really what you're doing is being negative. This type of feedback that's veiled constructive is really destructive criticism. It's intended to be mean and it's intended to hurt someone. Unlike constructive criticism, the destructive criticism is feedback that is not designed to help you, to help your employee. It's not designed to help anybody get better. It's just designed to be hurtful. So here's some signs that you might be given destructive criticism or you may have heard destructive criticism. The conversation attacks the person, not the person's behavior. The comments are formatted to hurt self-esteem. It's done in public so everybody can hear it. It does not provide specifics or actionable suggestions to improve on the things it talks about. It's often hypercritical or just absolutely needlessly nitpicky. It's intended to assert superiority over the person that's hearing the criticism. Essentially, it's a way for the person speaking this constructive criticism to put somebody else in their place. I'm sure if you've ever worked for a company at some point in your past, you've probably had a boss that may have deployed a little bit of destructive criticism on you, or certainly you've read this type of criticism on a Facebook group. Hopefully, you don't see your leadership style doing these things. You want to be better than your bosses, and you certainly want your employees to respect you more than you respect your old bosses. So here's some tips to help you become constructive with your feedback. First thing, spend some time crafting the feedback to be as specific and as helpful as possible. No matter how many pieces of feedback you have to give, crafting it means you're taking the time to think out what would be the most helpful and most useful for the recipient of the feedback. Giving feedback off the cuff most likely doesn't benefit anyone, and certainly not benefit them as intended. Combine feedback with actionable ideas to fix whatever's wrong in the first place. It is super easy to say, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and then never tell a person how to improve upon this is wrong, and this is wrong. All they've learned is what not to do. And it's up to you, if you're going to give them constructive feedback, to explain what they can do to get better. Otherwise, all you're doing is being a complainer. Even the absolutely best, most perfectly phrased criticism can be hard to take, especially if the person you're giving the feedback to spent a lot of time and energy doing whatever it is you're complaining about. In order for the feedback to be constructive and in order for it to be helpful, you want an open dialogue with that person on how they can improve. And you can't get an open dialogue by crossing your arms and saying again, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. This type of dialogue is not possible if you share your feedback publicly. Now, it becomes a little tricky when people are asking for feedback in a Facebook group, but it can be done. Your feedback, especially written feedback, has to be focused on behavior and results. It cannot be focused on the person. For example, someone shares some photographs showing the end of a super busy night and the trailer is messy. The owner is super proud of the sales they handles and is really just looking for some attaboys because they accomplished something that they never accomplished before and they're proud of it. If you can only focus on the mess, which is a behavior, that's going to force the author to shut down and not listen to anything else you say. And then they're going to regret having posted a picture and seeking some pats on the back. Improvement is what you want this person who posted that picture to learn. Belittling them for the mess and saying, my staff would never be that messy, blah, 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 doesn't fix the situation. Number one, because your staff ain't there. And then number two, all you have done is not offer any bit of instruction to the author or the staff. All you did was backhandedly brag about how good your staff is, and nobody cares. In this situation, pointing out the good and then also pointing out the bad is a way to get the critical improvements heard. Otherwise, a person needing the feedback just ignores what is said and they never improve. Giving feedback for a situation requires both the good and the bad. Positive feedback is celebrating what was done well. Critical feedback points out areas to improve, and then here's the key, explains how to improve it. Not that, hey, it's dirty. That doesn't tell them anything. The messy trailer bragging about a certain sales level is the positive feedback, celebrating with them. So when they say, hey, I did this amount of money in so many hours, all you got to do is say, that's an awesome number. Because to somebody, that is an awesome number. Doesn't have to be impressive to you. I can remember back many, many years ago, $500 an hour was a huge deal. Back when you had a 79-cent sandwich, that was a whole bunch of people you waited on in an hour. Now doing $500 only takes about 20 or 30 people. That's not very many people to wait on in an hour. That is a yawn as far as speed of service goes because it's slow. But to somebody, that $500 is a huge deal. To somebody else, it's going to take $2,000 before they're impressed. Just remember, being impressed is at all different levels. So to our messy food truck owner, I would say, this is me, Bill talking, great sales for that small of a time frame. That's awesome. You should be proud of what you accomplished, and now you've got a benchmark that your team can work towards in the future. Because obviously, whatever that number is, you want to beat it next time. Doesn't matter where it's 500, 1,000, 2,000, doesn't matter. I think if you help the staff to be a little bit more organized and aware of the food and trash they're creating while you're busy, you might find yourself able to handle more sales, and you're probably going to be ended up putting more money to the bottom line with less waste and less labor spent cleaning up after the rush. What I did there was celebrate the accomplishment because that's what they wanted. They're posting these pictures. They want a brag. They want somebody to tell them, hey, good job. You can continue to work this way. But then I gave them pointers to help out how to improve the business. You want to teach your staff to be a little bit more organized and to be aware of the food and trash they're creating while they're busy. The accomplishment was amazing to the author. Doesn't mean it was amazing to anybody else. Being positive does not mean being fake. It just means framing the comment in a positive manner. So what I did, again, was I said, great sales for that small of a time frame. You should be proud of what you accomplished, and now you have a benchmark to beat in the future. Doesn't mean he set a world record. Doesn't mean that 50,000 other food trucks don't beat that every single day. But for them, it was a big deal. Abraham Lincoln once said, people who like this sort of thing will find this the sort of thing they like. He said that in response to somebody that was wanting his opinion on something he didn't care for. People who like this sort of thing will find this the sort of thing they like. He didn't say he liked it. He just said people that like this sort of thing. People that are bragging about doing $500 in an hour are going to be the kind of people that are impressed by doing $501 in an hour. Doesn't mean you have to be impressed by it. Not everybody's going to be impressed by your accomplishments, but somebody somewhere will see that accomplishment as amazing and inspirational for them, because if one person can do it, they can do it. Always end feedback on something positive. Again, feedback is correcting behavior, not attacking a person. Giving critical feedback is something of an art, and we have to work to balance important information so that they can improve without causing the recipient to just shut down and ignore what we had to say. Your staff is going to thank you when you can strike that balance, and what you're going to find if you can strike those balances when you're helping people on Facebook, your help is going to be better received because you correct the behavior without hurting the person. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow, because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.